Talk, 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 or do. Are you a talker or a doer? And I think it's a really important question. I'm going to give you a quote from this morning, not my quote, but I think very sharp. Somebody shared with me this morning that they are sick of being a person that talks a lot of shit but doesn't do a lot of shit. And excuse the expression, but it's very wise. There are a lot of people in the world who talk shit. Yes, I'm going to do, gonna. How many people actually do shit? They go and do what they say they're going to do. And excuse my language, but sometimes we've got to get an injection into our brain of a shock that says, well, what about me? What do I do? And if you look back over your life and you've done a lot of talking and you haven't done a lot of doing, achieving, and you feel angry about that or disappointed or you've got low self-esteem, is it possible to change that? And here's a great question. What if you just stop, or we all stop talking about what we're gonna do and we just do it? The embarrassing thing about I'm gonna do, and you tell everybody, and especially now with social media, is I'm gonna do, and I post it all over my social media platforms, and then when you don't do it, it becomes really embarrassing. Now, probably not. People don't care what you do or don't do. Most people don't care whether you do it or not, but you've told the world you're going to do something. More importantly, you've told yourself that you're going to do something. And if you don't do it, do you then get into the habit of being a sayer but not a doer? And do you get into the habit of then feeling horrible about yourself, feeling guilty, getting stressed that you promised yourself you were going to do something and you didn't do it? There's a great question for that. If we spend as much time on doing as we did thinking about what we're going to do and talking about what we're going to do, we might actually get some things done. So if you are about to share with the world, I'm gonna, would it be a really good idea to consider going and doing it? And then you may not need to tell anybody because people could observe that you've actually done it. And I always share this as in the defense of the people that give you a really hard time about you just talk about what you're going to do and you never do anything. Maybe that's because that's the truth. Nobody believes you when you've got something exciting to go and do because all of your life you've been telling people what you're going to do but you don't do it. Now, I'm not talking to you personally. It's just a really interesting observation. So how do we make sure that whatever it is that we want to do, we actually do it? And of course, the only outcome for that is, why do you want to do it? Are you doing it to impress other people? Are you doing it to be impressive? Do you want other people to like you? Do you think people will respect you if you do that? And ultimately, if we're doing stuff for other people, is it possible that we will never do it, or we will be doing it for the wrong reasons? Even if we do achieve it, we won't get the satisfaction of doing it because we were doing it for other people. If you've ever been surrounded by people, and I'm very privileged, I'm in my gym with achievers. The wall in here is filled with people who don't talk about what they're going to do, they just go do it. I'm married to a world champion martial artist who is also a very successful businessman, and he's also, and has a master's degree in exercise science, so he's an academic as well. He's done and achieved and been awarded for so many things in his life, but he's not the guy that talks about what he's going to do, he just does it. And it's a real pleasure to be surrounded by people like that. That's why the people on the wall in our gym, it's very easy to get motivated when you come in here because the people in here are not talkers, they're doers. Could that be a great reputation to have? And there's a very personal and very confrontational question. Are you the person that has the reputation of, yeah, she always says she's going to do stuff, but she never does, versus he is a quiet achiever, they just go and do, and they never talk about what they're going to do, but then you see the outcome of what they've done. And isn't that a lovely word, done? And there's a great habit-forming neurotransmitting pathway for that inside your brain. If you do and keep doing, you get into the habit of doing. So you become an achiever just because you're in the habit of doing stuff all the time. If you talk about what you're going to do and you don't do, is it possible that you get into the habit of being a talker and not a doer, and you end up feeling stressed and guilty and unhappy with yourself, and then your self-esteem it's a pile of rubbish, and you don't feel like doing anything because you don't feel good about yourself? Well, could today be that intervention spot? Could today be the day that you say to yourself, I'm not going to be that person anymore. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to be a doer. So that, of course, is a habit as well. So I'm going to do something versus and go do. And the little things, it doesn't start with big things or little things. It's a great question. Let's look at exercise. I'm in the gym. You could talk about, I'm going to exercise tomorrow, but you don't need to wait to exercise. The best form of exercise, of course, is high intense injection of intense activity in the phosphate system for 10 seconds. And you can do that on the spot. You can do jump squats, you can do push-ups, you can punch, you can kick, you can run up and down some stairs. You don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to wait to exercise. So the very next thing you do could be 10 seconds of high intense activity, sprinting on the spot jump squats, which then makes you a doer. The very next meal you eat could be healthy. The very next person that you talk to, you could have a positive conversation rather than a negative one. Isn't it awesome that we get to decide today, right now, this second, I'm going to do things differently than I did before? And that's the difference between humans and animals. Animals run on instinct. Of course, they have to do what their instinct tells them to do. But as humans, we get to decide. So if you've been a gunner, not a doer, you could change that today. Isn't that exciting? If you've been demotivated and don't feel like doing stuff and you've talked about what you're going to do but you never do it, you could change that today. Isn't it awesome that we get a choice? So rather than talking shit, let's do some shit. I love that. It's a great new expression. Live your life to the max, doing shit rather than talking about it. Super duper doo, how are you? Living my life, doing shit. Woohoo!